Video games come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. For example, I am only 3 feet tall. Hi everybody, I'm Crep, and I'm playing Streets of Rage 4 with a friend. I have a cool friend with me today. Introduce yourself, friend.
Hi, it's me, Brett, also known as FM Town's Party on things.
One of the greatest usernames I've ever seen, ever.
Thank you. I like to refer to old consoles and computers that I've never used before.
No, right. Yeah, of course. Has anyone ever seen an FM Town's Marty?
No.
You are such an influence on my life right now that I almost just said FM Town's Party anyway. That's just the name of the console now.
Mission complete.
Congrats. This is Streets of Rage 4. It's a beat 'em up, much like the other 3 games in the Streets of Rage series, and
Sure.
the two on the Game Gear. And it's really good. It came out the last day of April, and it rules, and my life revolves around it now.
Yeah, it's a fantastic sequel to a thing that I legitimately did not have as much faith in as this game gave. So it's not just great, it's also better than expected.
Agreed. There was a lot of skepticism around this game, at least from where I was seeing in pre-release stuff. Probably because I was seeing that mostly from people who are super fans of Streets of Rage.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff like I browsed Sonic Retro, so they had a thread on there for the Sega subforum, and lots of people in there were like, this art style feels weird for Streets of Rage, or I don't know if this music's going to be good, just based on the single piece that Motohiro Kawashima posted.
Yeah.
Just other things like comboing in Streets of Rage? Sounds bad. Juggling? Ew.
Yeah, for me it was just I don't know. There's been a lot of revivals of beat 'em ups in the past decade or so, with Double Dragon Neon and
Oh yeah.
Was it Double Dragon 5? Which one was the one that nobody liked?
Was there a Double Dragon 5? I remember is the
is that the
fighting game from the Super Nintendo?
Yeah. Regardless.
Yeah.
A lot of those have come out, and I feel like I just haven't been a huge fan of the IPs that they're from. So even when they're good, I'm just whatever. So when they finally hit Streets of Rage, which is probably my favorite beat 'em up series, I got real nervous.
Same.
And it also, Sega not being much involved at all was kind of a weird thing. I mean, I guess there's time to speak about that later, but it was just it seemed completely bizarre. And it wasn't until I saw the final product that I was like, oh, it worked out probably as good as it probably could have, given the circumstances and all that.
Yeah.
But anyway, enough about just talking about the game. We can play it too.
Yeah, we sure can.
Here, I'm gonna invite you. We're playing multiplayer, so I'm just gonna invite Crep, and we're gonna play.
I'm in.
Wow.
Amazing.
Miracles.
So
I'm gonna play old Axel, just because starting first stage.
Why not? I'll hop in as Blaze for the first stage. Classic duo.
Yeah, this is the duo that was shown when this game was first announced.
Yeah, these are the only 2 characters in the game's intro, which is because it's just the teaser trailer that was made when the game was announced.
Yeah. Alright, press X to start, yay! And just like that,
Classic
Streets.
sort of intro title
I've heard they're
crawl for
pretty
the franchise.
angry.
Though usually those are placed before the title screen. A little different this time.
Yeah.
So if you don't know what a beat 'em up is, oh boy, they've been around for a while. It's kind of surprising. You probably don't play a lot of like older games, I guess, or see a lot of older games.
Yeah.
They're not like super common now, but they sure are getting a revival, like Brett said. It's funny, you mentioned a revival, and honestly the only games I can really think of like offhand are all of the like Technos brands. Like River City Girls, we had
Oh yeah.
River City Underground happened a few years ago.
I did
which
not
was like-
mention any of those.
Yeah, like River City Underground was a big surprise because no one expected it to actually get out of development hell.
Yeah.
It was a Kickstarter project that was really promising and then stopped. Got no updates for like a solid year or more.
Yeah. Weird game in general.
It is weird. I should give it another try sometime, but that's only because I only feel that way because I didn't give it like that big of a try to begin with.
Yeah. So we should probably go over some of the things that make Streets of Rage 4 different from the games in the past, right?
Yeah, we could. Should we talk about those games first?
Sure. I mean, I just want to point out some of the weird mechanics that make this game pretty special. For one, you combo so much in this game.
Yeah, it's a big deal. I mean, it's the first game in the franchise to have a combo counter, so that means something.
Yeah.
Ah.
It's score in general is just very heavily based on your ability to do unbroken segments of stuff and not get hit. Otherwise, it resets. Another pretty wild addition is the special system. The way that, you know, it worked in the past games is you would just get some of your health chipped off whenever you did a defensive special or an offensive special. And now it does the same thing, but now it almost works like Bloodborne, where
Yeah.
you can get it back if you just have, you know, you don't get hurt by the time that you fill it up with getting additional damage. Which is so weird, but I think it ends up working out extremely well for this kind of game.
I agree. It emphasizes some really, really rewarding play.
Yeah.
And it also, the other thing is that it incentivizes using the specials to begin with instead of hoarding them until you feel like it's a
Yeah.
desperation move.
Definitely.
Because you use it and then you take advantage of the position it gives you to get that health back.
Yeah. It makes me end up using specials probably 2 to 3 times more than in... Not 2 to 3 times, probably more like 5 to 6 times more than like,
Yeah.
Streets of Rage 2, for instance.
I agree. It's about the same here. The only other time there's been like a major deviation in the way the special stuff worked was, I believe Streets of Rage 3 didn't cost you health for using a defensive special unless it actually connected.
Oh, really? I don't think I've
believe
ever
so.
noticed that detail.
It's
Yeah.
either that or Streets of Rage Remake did that, and I attributed it to Streets of Rage 3, which is also likely.
I don't have that much experience with Streets of Rage Remake. Do you want to talk a bit about how, like, because, you know, it's easy to say that, oh yeah, Streets of Rage hasn't had anything going on for 20 years, but really, Streets of Rage Remake was a pretty big deal for super fans.
Right. I ended up playing a lot of it when it came out. That was back in 2015, I think. Somewhere
Yeah.
around there. It was similar story to River City Underground, aside from River City Underground actually being like legally sanctioned and funded with money. Both passion projects for a franchise, for a beat 'em up franchise that's like not getting much attention and not getting much in the way of media either.
Yeah.
So in the case of like Streets of Rage Remake, though, instead of being like a new game that pays homage, it's a game that's a complete like overhaul and retread of everything that happened in the first 3 Streets of Rage games. Which we
Yeah.
can say first 3 now, which is fun, instead of just the 3.
Yeah. The first 3.
It had every character that was playable in all 3 of those games, with the original movesets also expanded. And similar to this game, we'll touch on this later, also had variations on those characters from each appearance they had in the franchise to that point.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fun. Also with expanded movesets. Don't do that. I don't like when you come at me with a knife. And I want that knife also. But I guess I won't have it. That's fine. No knife for me.
I'm going the other way, but instead I'm the first one here.
Yeah, you're the first one out. That's fine. That makes sense. And aside from like a handful of new levels it also had, it was a game that had every level from those 3 Streets of Rage games as well, in like new sequence and with branching paths in the way that Streets of Rage 3 did it at like 2 junctions, I think. But you know, more fleshed out and cooler even.
Yeah, it to be honest, I feel bad as a Streets of Rage fan for never playing it because it is probably one of the more impressive fan projects I've ever seen in terms of just like the music is treated so well, all of that stuff. It is a really cool thing.
Yeah.
Which I'm assuming was terrifying for .emu and Lizard Cube while they were making
Probably.
this game, because they're super fans too. Like that's like Lizard Cube whole thing is when they made what is it called, Monster Boy.
Yeah.
Like that was like they were just like huge fans of Monster Boy and they wanted to make a game that was faithful to that, and it ended up, you know, working out that they were the developers, which has its own special anxiety attached to it, I imagine.
Yeah. Just yesterday or the day before, I can't remember at the time of this recording, the people at .emu and Lizard Cube, and I think also Guard Crush, actually did an Ask Me Anything on Reddit, which is pretty cool. Answered a lot of neat things about what's coming up for this game, which is great, because I love this game and I want to see more.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'll switch to Cherry for a round. Blaze is not like my strongest character. We'll get to my strongest in a bit.
Yeah. I'm gonna play Floyd, who is very entertaining to watch.
Floyd's great. Was I just saying? Oh yeah, about the Ask Me Anything. And someone actually did ask them about Streets of Rage Remake. Probably multiple people did, but at least one person actually got a response. And the general tone was like, either hadn't played it but I did know about it, seemed pretty cool, or have played it, and it was a big inspiration. So they didn't seem to let much out in terms of like being worried about expectations on this game based on that being the sort of like last real Streets of Rage thing, even if it wasn't official, which is interesting. Whether or not that's like just they felt if it weren't saying it, or it just wasn't really the case, who's to say? But you know, taking them at their word, seems like they treated it more as just some other fan creation that they really liked, but they weren't worried about people having too high expectations for this based on that existing.
Yeah. It's still very cool that both of them exist, because Streets of Rage has been a dormant series for a long time, but in a way it almost feels like it never left.
Yeah, I agree. For me, part of that is that I just love the way these games feel so much.
Yes. It's a lot of good things wrapped up in a package that is just good, even if it was only one of those things.
Yeah. It's also, like, me loving the way that Streets of Rage games feel in particular is another factor in why I mentioned that it felt like all the revivals lately have been of Technos properties, because I'm not the hottest on how those games handle, like Double Dragon and River City.
Yeah.
They're a lot, should I say slower?
Yeah. I would call them charm forward for me. Where, like, you know how charm is sometimes used as like almost like a backhanded compliment, where it's like, oh yeah, this has a lot of charm.
I kind of feel that, yeah.
Anyway, we're gonna electrocute this arcade cabinet, and it's gonna take us to a fun place.
Yeah, this is a fun little bonus thing. This is an actual screen from Streets of Rage 2.
Yeah.
From the first round of that game, and we made quick work of Jack here.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely
fun.
obliterated that man. That's Floyd for you.
Yeah, Floyd will do that. We could talk about the characters a little bit if we want, unless we want to stay in this conversation thread. Because
Um,
I know I'm not going to be playing Cherry again. As soon as this round is over, I'm going to my good boy, my good man. It's not a boy, for the rest of the game.
Yeah, yeah. You can talk about Cherry a bit. I'm gonna play Floyd a little bit longer, but Cherry is probably unique enough that she deserves her own topic.
Ooh, love getting these guys from both sides.
Yeah.
So Cherry. So we had Axel and Blaze before, and Axel kind of started out in the franchise as just like really basic, but kind of everyone did in the first game, to be honest.
Yeah.
With Blaze being like the all-rounder, but she had some specific attributes in the first game that made her stand out in a different way from how she stands out now as definitively the all-rounder. That's just what Blaze is like. She's really competent at everything.
Yeah.
In terms of her moveset and like mechanics. So Axel's like, I like to use the term bruiser. He's a little on the harder hitting end, but he's still like really easy to pick up and understand. He's
Yeah.
very simple.
Yeah, I would say one of my favorite things about Axel is that he's very clear in terms of like his strengths and weaknesses. Like he's very strong, but you know sometimes he has moves that leave him pretty vulnerable. So it's like he's very easy to get into if you're new to this genre or series or something like that. Probably the ideal starter character for one of these games.
Ah! Hate these guys.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. So Cherry feels like a completely different niche. Those two are like the easiest to get into in this game. They're the simplest to play. Cherry and Floyd kind of represent like opposite extremes on the spectrum. Cherry's got the ability to run, so she's very mobile, but in a game like this, you kind of realize that that's less about being able to move fast and more about having movement options. It's just a burst of speed to be able to pull out instead of being able to get from point A to point B and do exactly what you want all the time.
Yeah. As somebody who has only played Cherry a little bit in this game, I was surprised with how it didn't help as much as I thought it would.
Yeah. She's a little different from like the previous speedy character in the franchise, Skate, who definitely can make a lot like simpler use of his running.
Yes.
Or skating. Oh, I should let you have that apple.
No, you're fine.
I'm going a little too mindless here.
Well, you shouldn't let me have that apple because on my screen it was a pizza slice.
Oh, that's fair. It's funny. We can have different food display settings.
Yeah.
Didn't even think about that. I just go with the default. Wait, no, I don't. I went with foods I specifically like, so it's a burger and an apple.
Oof.
Oof. I didn't know I could hit on the return. That's extra sucky. So that's like one aspect of Cherry anyway. The other big thing is that she has a lot of grappling options, but a different way from Floyd. It's more that actually saying she has a lot of grappling options isn't totally accurate. She has different grappling options from like every other character in the game, which makes her interesting. She's got this move, which is cool. You could do that on anyone, and you can also do it by jumping onto them without attacking, like that.
Yeah.
Kind of hard to do consistently depending on what kind of enemy you're against, because some like Donovan will just uppercut you. Thanks, Donovan. Donovan's not here. I'm just always upset with Donovan.
Her down jump kick, the one if you're in the air and you press down.
Oh yeah.
It is a very bizarrely implemented move, but it's almost like a, I don't know, like Vega or M. Bison from Street Fighter, like their like moves where they jump up in the air and you have like a lot of directional input while they're gliding. It feels like that, and it's one of those things that I imagine is super powerful once you get used to it. But I hadn't.
Yeah, it's a lot. I like extending the combo counter after the round's already over. It's fun. Yeah, it's weird. Our also mutual friend Mitt compared it to the jumping attacks in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World game, which also let you bounce off enemies.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I don't really know how to work it too well, but it's fun. Her other
Yeah.
biggest defining feature is that she doesn't have great reach with most of her attacks, so it's kind of hard to get in.
Yeah. I'm gonna stick with Floyd because he's very fun.
Sounds good. I'll be playing Adam, who's actually unlockable in this game. You don't have him from the start for some reason.
Yeah.
Who knows why?
He has a fun little segment where he shows up.
And we'll actually get to see it, because he doesn't, like, go away from the cutscene if you're playing as him or anything. Story sure is happening. It was kind of introduced in the big text crawl, but the previous villain of the franchise is named Mr. X. I guess he's, like, actually, for real, gone somewhere in these last 10 years between Streets of Rage 3 and this one. But he's got 2 kids, and they're also awful.
Yeah, just a bunch of snot-nosed twerps.
Yeah.
Twerps? I meant
Twerps?
twerps.
Dorps?
Dorps?
Some dork twerps. Ah, we're going to the level that has some of my favorite music in the game.
Same here.
I'll try to make sure the game is at least audible beneath us in this
Yeah.
LP. This is one of the biggest defining features of the franchise, actually, is the soundtrack, and that's certainly part of why expectations were high for this game, is that everyone who likes Streets of Rage likes the music.
I would argue that it was probably the biggest source of anxiety for fans. And I've seen a little bit of, I wouldn't say that this soundtrack was universally loved, but I think the other aspects of this game have allowed people to kind of get into this game regardless. That being said, I think it's a great soundtrack.
Yeah, when I first heard it, I thought a lot of it wasn't really going to stick with me in the same way the rest of the franchise soundtracks have. But
Yes.
the more that I played the game and the more that I listened to it outside of the context of the game, the more I fell in love with it, to be honest. Ooh, love blowing up. Cool.
Don't worry. I'm very Kevin and Francis. I'm a good counter.
Don't worry, I've been getting better at taking care of Kevin's and Dylan's, to be honest. But not Big Ben's. Like, I'm okay with them, but they're still kind of rough.
I feel like I'm almost better with Big Bens whenever I'm playing solo, because their tell is just get away from them whenever they're doing fire, and then once they stop doing fire, you just hit them.
Yeah,
But sometimes getting in the chaos of multiplayer can sometimes cause that to be a little bit more complicated.
Yeah, that's totally fair. There is a lot going on, especially when you play 4-player, which this game can do whenever you're not playing online.
Yeah.
Though you can also still get around that if you're playing the PC version, because you can do Steam Remote Play.
Yeah. Which is
Very nice.
when it's working well is pretty damn useful feature. I feel like this game. I mean I won't go so far to say that it was probably built with multiplayer in mind. It could be, I won't be the one that says it though.
Yeah.
It definitely benefits from it though, in a way that even previous games in the series I never felt were hugely dependent.
Oh,
on
rude.
it. Yeah. Luckily we're on
Happy to
easy
hear,
mode
Francis.
because
Yeah.
normal mode is really difficult.
Yeah, it's a lot. I've been getting better at it. I could probably do a solo normal mode without any game overs at this point, but that's only out of practice.
Yeah. I think a big thing is that seeing as how this was made by fans of the series, they ended up building this game around hard mode. That was kind of their reference points, and then they balanced the game from there. And which is a smart idea, but I think to some extent they probably could have gone even farther.
Yeah, I agree. I think, I started to come around on the difficulty a little bit, in that, I feel like normal is fine now that I'm into it. I don't know if I'd be able to go, much further, personally, but
Yeah, this game-
it was a lot at first.
I think the thing with this game is that it's the first game in a really long time for me that felt like it kind of is maintaining like that classics, 8-bit, 16-bit style difficulty curve.
Yeah.
And this game has, like difficulty modifiers and stuff like that, like the assists and whatnot.
Right.
But
We used plenty on our first multiplayer playthroughs.
Yes, we did. Do you want to change characters?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Oh my.
Oh my. I love the art in this game.
Yeah, this game's so beautiful. But yeah, difficulty-wise, it's classically hard, where it's like don't expect to be able to beat this game on your first like credit.
Yeah.
Which took a little bit to get used to, but I'm fine with it for the most part.
It's a really fair like grading of that too. I think like the game's difficulty curve in general is really well balanced, like overall difficulty aside.
Yeah.
It doesn't ever feel like you come across one round that feels like it's significantly easier than the previous one.
Yeah. The final boss is probably the hardest boss in the game.
Yeah.
And like the final stage can be a real prickly one too. So in a way, it feels like it's pretty good curve.
Speaking of bosses, I'm excited for the one at this round. I'm not the greatest at it, to be honest. It'll be easier in multiplayer for sure, but
Yeah.
trying to go through the game solo, rude. The hell out of here. Going through this game solo, this is one of the first bosses that really gives me any trouble.
Same here. I can beat the commissioner, no problem. And the whip lady, whose name escapes me.
Nora.
Thank you, Nora. She has that spike wall. We didn't even mention it, but there's a spike wall in that room where if you just throw her into it constantly, she bleeds all of her health really quickly.
We didn't mention it because a lot happens fast. Like that.
Yes.
That sure happened quickly.
We could have millions of things to say about this game because honestly, it probably warrants that sort of conversation. But it's still pretty compact and quick-paced, like your average beat 'em up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was talking about pacing a while ago. The biggest thing for me, it like differentiates this game from like a lot of other beat 'em ups is that it just feels responsive and good. It's so hard to like be more specific and descriptive than that.
Yeah.
But it just works. It feels natural to me. Oh, hi there. We'll take a small break.
Yeah, we'll fight this
Why
guy.
did I just walk into that? It feels very like conducive to me in the way that I want to play video games in the exact same way that Sonic the Hedgehog does.
Sure. Yeah, to me, this is there are a scant few 2D beat 'em ups or fighters or however you wanna phrase it, that give me the same satisfaction that my favorite 3D beat 'em ups and fighters and character action games do. And since they've started to exist, in the 2000s and 2010s, they've been my like reference point for quality action games rather than beat 'em ups. So it's been kind of difficult for me to find one that I truly love. And this game is very good.
That's where like our backgrounds in regards to this franchise like differ a little bit, because I to this day still haven't played any 3D character action games.
Yeah.
I would like to try them at some point, but I still haven't.
Yeah. They're for a while there, especially during the Platinum's golden era, probably my favorite genre of game. So I've played a lot of them.
Yeah.
And that was during a time where 2D beat 'em ups just weren't really around. So when they started making a comeback, it was like, oh hey.
Yeah. And they sure did like appear out of nowhere. I always
Yeah.
remember like being so surprised that Scott Pilgrim vs. the World happened.
Yes. It is a weird genre for a movie tie-in game to be, let alone or not a, I mean movie / graphic novel tie-in.
Yeah, it's closer to the graphic novel than the movie, but like it was clearly able to be funded because the movie happened.
Yeah. It's a weird genre for that to exist in, and it's also a weirdly, I wouldn't even say confident or competent. I would say like impassioned game to be. 'Cause that game's phenomenal and it understands the genre that it's working in way too well for something that is essentially a product tie-in.
Oh, cool! I'm on the ground.
Punch.
And yeah, I agree. And that game is closer to River City Ransom than most other beat-em-ups, so it's kind of surprised that I like it as much as I do.
Agreed.
I could probably use a refresher on it.
That is one thing that we can both agree on, is that River City Ransom is our like blind spot
Yeah.
genre. I mean, my prior knowledge of here, I'm gonna switch characters just for fun.
Mhm.
Let's go to Blaze.
Blaze is good.
Blaze is good.
I'm slapping you to the middle of next week.
That's my favorite stupid line that Adam says. For some reason, Axel, Blaze, and Cherry all have 2 lines in the character select. Floyd has 3, and Adam has 5. No idea why. They're all picked at random whenever you pick them. But of course, of those first 3, because they only have 2. Hey, it's Adam. Whoa, where'd
yeah.
he come from?
Long time no see.
For those first 3, it just cycles between the 2, back and forth. He looks like such a dad in this game. So to be clear, Axel, Blaze, and Adam are the only playable characters of these 5 that were in previous Streets of Rage games.
Yeah.
Adam was only ever playable in the first one, and Axel and Blaze are mainstays of the franchise. They've been in every single game.
Yes. A lot. I feel like this isn't the only way that this game feels a lot like Streets of Rage 1 focused in terms of its like, it's like tipping its hand off mostly to that one. Adam is such an interesting choice, but one that I ended up appreciating because he's just so cool and dad.
He's so cool and dad. It's just all the time he's both cool and dad.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Because I mean, there are other characters in the franchise that they could have gone with to be, returning favorites, and
yeah.
Adam is. I would say he's up there certainly, but Skate would have been a huge choice.
Well, it's like Skate was in the past 2 games,
Yeah.
so he's not like quote unquote obscure in the same way Adam is, I guess. And like everyone who knows me knows that I love the obscure characters in every franchise that I get attached to. I played a lot of Adam in Streets of Rage Remake because, of course, all the characters who were in the franchise were playable in that one. So he was special in that way, but he's completely different here because they didn't take any inspiration from how he was done there, and I like that. I like how he is here. He's very good. He's got this Capcom Fighter-esque dash that he can do, and it just feels really good because, as opposed to oh, I hate this stage so much.
This particular section is the pits.
The
Further just explaining how sewer levels in games are always a bad idea. So
yeah, every time. Really wasn't necessary here. This is the only stage in the game that I would say I really just don't like.
Yeah.
But it's only this half of it too.
Yeah, the top half is fine. And we'll
Top
be
half
seeing,
is fine.
some cool characters there. And some new faces.
In contrast to Cherry's dashing, which I mentioned Skate also has, so it wasn't like new to the franchise. Oh, I'm not gonna get that star now.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay. We forget. How easily we forget. She's out. In contrast to like Cherry's running that she has, Adam's dash has like a very set spacing, and if you get used to that spacing and the timing of the animation, you can know exactly how to do exactly what you want out of it instead of doing his blitz attack, which is what dash attacks are called in this franchise for some reason. I guess they do that because you know, only Cherry and Adam dash.
Yeah. It is worth saying that Streets of Rage 3, everybody could dash.
Yeah, that was the
Or
only game in the
run,
franchise that was
rather.
like that.
Yeah. Streets of Rage 3 is kind of the black sheep of the series, or at least the official series.
Yeah, in some like very specific ways. Part of that is because of localization to Streets of Rage 3 specifically. The franchise is called Bare Knuckle
Yeah.
3 in Japan, which is nice because then we can say Bare Knuckle if we want to, and you'll know exactly what game we're talking about. But the third game is the only one where like differences really matter in any degree.
Yeah,
'Cause-
it is substantially more difficult.
Yeah, in like stupid.
Yeah, in ways that aren't good.
Yeah, ways that don't favor or ways that like don't respect the player was kind of
Yeah.
the way I was looking to say that.
Yeah, if you ever want to play Streets of Rage 3, which you should, because it's a good game, find a, I don't know, ROM or, you know, a cart for Bare Knuckle 3.
Yeah. I think you can pick up an 8-ball here. Oh, we
Yeah.
didn't. Where's the taser? Did we pass it or is it just gone?
We might have passed it.
Because I think it's one of the rounds where it's just hanging out on the floor somewhere.
Yeah, that's right. Forgot about that one.
Oh well, either we'll find it or we won't.
Get out of here.
To say the thing that I was trying to say, I like Adam because he has that specific spacing on him that you can get used to, compared to Cherry's dashing, which it's hard to do anything other than her blitz out of it. And a
Yeah.
lot of times I don't actually want to do that. There's a lot of like positional advantage
Okay, there's a
in
taser.
just using the first punch of your like series of attacks that you do when you're standing or walking,
Yeah.
and just using that to like stun enemies so you can get further in and extend your combo. Because I've been doing a lot of practicing of playing Fourscore, I have a lot of experience in like knowing how to play in such a way that extends combos and stuff.
Yeah. I haven't spent as much time with Score. I've just been mostly trying to play the game on slightly higher difficulties and just, you know, feeling out like...
Do you want this burger? It's gonna go away.
There... Sure. I think there's another
Yours.
one over here anyway.
Either that or it's just this apple. No, it's a whole burger. Okay.
Okay. Alright.
It just took a moment. Oh, this boss
And-
seems great.
Yeah. Here's Barbin. An old favorite.
Harbin's a fun throwback because he was the first boss of Streets of Rage 2. Ah, we let him touch the ground. Oh no.
Yeah.
That's fine. I got him.
I'm gonna take care of these honeys.
Yes, bounce off the motorcycles. Dang,
These-
we're working him down quick. Oh, but now he's doing
Yeah.
this. I would say Barbin is the first like major example of one of the kind of like minor issues I have with this game, in terms of like stuff I still don't know quite how to deal with without taking damage constantly, which is enemies, particularly bosses, but later just regular enemies that have super armor for too long, and there being other enemies you have to deal with also at the
Yeah.
same time.
I agree. That is kind of a crutch that they use for a lot of the boss designs, is just making them really difficult to deal with for a short period of time, and then like just having a weak spot.
Yeah, the thing you have to get used to for a lot of them is like where their particular blind spots are during their specific attacks.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Oh yeah, so this is a mechanic that we've used a few times also, is that every character has their like super moves that they can pull out if you have a star to expend for
Yeah.
it. They're all very different, actually. I thought some of them had like similar utility. As it turns out, they're all pretty different.
Axel's is kind of just like a big uppercut. Has a pretty wide range. or blazes rather, is that like area of effect, sort of swirling space. Very useful for crowd control.
Yeah.
Cherries, she just kind of runs through a crowd. Kind of works as a good middle ground between the two that Axel and Blaze have, where it's like it gets rid of enemies, but also clears space.
Right.
What
I think you used Floyd's once, maybe? I think you
yeah,
did.
Floyd's is the beam, which is kind of funny to me because it just looks like he's in Marvel vs. Capcom or something.
Yeah,
like
it's incredibly Iron Man.
that. Yeah.
Oh, fun
Now-
fact that we heard about through the AMA. They actually did plan a motorcycle level, and then scrapped it.
Yeah.
Which is funny because that happened to Streets of Rage 3 also. Completely different development team, completely different development in general. So just kind of a funny parallel. And then Adam has the Sword Strike that I used a few times, which is distinct
very-
because it has a little more reach on the Y-axis than Blaze's, but it also reaches only in front of him and not behind him at all.
It's very SNK looking.
Yeah. Kind of the big thing in my eyes with the supers, the thing that I think about is that Blazes and Cherries are the ones that actually set up for like further combos if you do that right.
Yes.
Whereas like if you don't have a second player, there's no way that the other three are going to set up for combos. They don't
Here
send
it is.
enemies high enough for it.
Muay Thai guys. They are probably my most problematic character type in this game. Either that or the judo guys. They're both pretty rough. And luckily, we'll be seeing both of them in this stage.
Yeah, it's great. It's definitely the judo guys for me, because they're fine on their own, but like whenever they bunch up, I have such a hard time doing anything to one of them without triggering the other one to do something to me.
Yeah.
I'll see that in a moment, to be honest. These enemies also, the rubies and garnets, they can be kind of rough too.
Yeah. For
Mostly
me,
in
it's,
bunches.
For me, it's character dependent. Like, depending on which character I'm using, I feel like I have an easier time with them. As you can see, Axel is probably a little weaker than some of my other characters.
At least in this context.
Yeah.
Brett's kind of talked with me about it before, but like Floyd is a character that excels in multiplayer a little more than in solo.
Yes. Floyd, to me, is, you know, his weaknesses are pretty obvious. He's slow. A lot of his moves take a long time to get going, and then even though his grappling stuff is very useful, it does mean that he's like focusing on single enemies a lot. But
Yeah.
that happens to also be very useful in multiplayer.
Yeah.
Because one, it means that you can kind of sit back and just like wail on single enemies, and you know, if they start to crowd you, you can use like his offensive special or something like that, and just kind of get them out of your way. And then, you know, like he just does so much damage that you can honestly probably take on one of these like big, like a bigger, more substantial enemy can get taken down by just him, while everybody else is dealing with like the crowd. And it ends up working out pretty perfectly.
It's really nice.
Yeah, I don't know if I've used his special yet, so...
I feel like I remember you using it in stage 1.
Did I? Okay. I probably
I
used
think
it at the boss.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I feel like I remembered you using it against D.Va, and there we go. There's the judo guys doing their judo
Yeah.
thing.
Judo guys break the one taboo that I feel like I have in fighting, or not in fighting games, but in action games, which is enemies that can counter.
Yeah.
Like, you know how like there are some people out there that are like very against enemies that can heal.
Oh, yeah.
For me, that's enemies that can counter, because I'm like, you don't have a brain. I do. I can counter. You can't. Otherwise, it's just the game, giving them an advantage in certain scenarios.
My the only solid counter, no wordplay intended, that I found for the judo guys is grabbing them and immediately doing something, because they can break out of your grabs, but it's always a consistent timing that they'll do it. It's really annoying and not the most consistent if you think that you're in grab range and then you don't grab and you just attack and then they counter you.
Yeah.
Or if you don't think you're in grab range but you do and then you don't react fast enough and they break out. But that's a bigger problem in round 9 than it is here, to be honest.
Yeah.
This is cool. I've got a fun pileup over here in the corner.
Oops.
So
Probably shouldn't have grained up.
here's the big character trait of the Garcias or Garcias. So they love to pick up knives and run with them.
Yeah.
And I've gotten better at dealing with just like the small knives that they pick up.
Same here.
It's okay, it's fine. But when they pick up the
Polearm.
those, the polearms, gets to be a problem if you're trying to work with crowd control.
Yeah. Luckily, you can use the pole arms too, and I tend to just blitz through this area by keeping my distance and letting characters come in from the corners and just kind of dealing with them within 10 feet length.
Yeah. Get out of here. Oh, I didn't hit nearly enough guys with that. Oh, now I'm hitting nearly enough guys. Get out of here.
I don't know if Altet was going to hit me or not, so I'm glad you did that.
It was worth it. I'll take a bat.
Grab a sword.
Bat sword.
An S word.
Can't say that in a Christian manga. These guys are fun, the ones with the fiery kicks.
Yeah.
They're fun because they got super armor when they wake up. But it's not that bad. Brett mentioned having like a blind spot with these enemies. I feel like I don't too much, honestly. They tend to be easy enough for me to work with when they're ganging around because they have good tells when they're about to do something. They don't approach if they're not going to kick you, and they if they're reeling up for a flying kick, you can usually defensive special and reaction and be okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
And if they're not going to do anything else, they're probably going to block. And if you hit them when they're blocking, they're going to stay blocking for a moment. So usually pulling out a special is a good safe move with them.
Here's probably my favorite boss in the game, just aesthetic and
Yeah.
I love Shiva. So
Do you just you ever just take into consideration how big the rope around his waist is? It's so good.
yeah, I love. I wish I remember the name for them, but big ropes in Japanese folklore and all that sort of stuff. They're always cool.
The cool thing with Shiva also is that he's one of the more exploitable bosses because he actually doesn't have that much HP. So if you get him in a good combo, then you can shred him pretty quickly.
We might see his gimmick, we might not, but he has something else that makes him, a tricky boss. It's not so much his endurance.
He also has almost enough animations to be playable. Wow, can you
Yeah.
imagine if that happened? Wow.
Man, sure would like it if she was playable.
Yeah. He's technically playable in that this game has, like I mentioned it really briefly earlier, it has throwback characters, which are just all of the playable characters from the first 3 Streets of Rage games in their original sprite forms, reprogrammed in this game. It's not the most interesting to play, to be honest, because it breaks the aesthetic, and I'm not for that.
Yeah. It also, depending on the character, breaks the game.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The Streets of Rage 3 characters in particular, I think all are ridiculous. Like, one of the ways that they kind of compensate for the fact that they don't have great combo potential is they replace them with just pure power.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes for some very Streets of Rage 1 characters in particular get a lot of power buff.
Yeah, they do a lot of damage.
But Shiva Streets of Rage 3, he is so fast, has that strong damage potential, and it's just like has a lot of utility as well. So it's just in general just a very good character.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
The only thing he doesn't get is that he can't run. He gets a dash kind of like Adams, and it feels weird compared to the rest of the Streets of Rage 3 characters, but it's probably workable and neat. I don't know. I've barely played with all of them.
Yeah, same here. I just watched some videos.
I tried Dr. Zan. He's just as awkward and clunky as he was in Streets of Rage 3, so...
Yeah, we have plenty of cyborg people now.
Yeah, which is rad.
Yeah.
What a future Streets of Rage 4 paints for us.
So this is probably the most gimmicky level in the game.
Honestly, yeah.
I'm surprised that they restrained in general from having any levels that are kind of like, you know, like the bridge from Streets of Rage 2 or something like that, where there's like vehicle enemies kind of running at you. But this is probably the closest it gets to that.
Yeah. It's amazingly like even less gimmicky than Streets of Rage 3.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh,
that didn't actually happen because we hit the point where the train stops. That's funny.
I was gonna say that happened to me while I was practicing this stage for this LP. I'm surprised that it happened twice in a row. That's very funny.
Cool, we got it on camera. This is kind of this is one of the shorter stages in the game also. One thing that really took me off guard playing this game for the first time is how long round 1 is. Or, sorry, how long round 1 is compared to previous round 1s in the franchise. And it's still not, like, the longest, it's just... it's a little long.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense in a, like, world where there's things like packs and whatnot. Where it's like, you know, like, make your first level with one that's, like, you can show it off and it is a display for the game.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah,
dude's walking all the way off screen. Thank you, just to pick up his taser.
Yeah, the way I would describe this game's pacing is that it has like some really big chunky levels, and then like a series of smaller levels kind of put between them, which ends up feeling pretty nice now that I'm like used to it.
Here we go. We got the commissioner back from round 2.
Yeah. Oops.
Oh dang, you're like out.
Yeah. I've been kind of not cautious with Floyd, but that's just because he's so entertaining if you kind of throw caution to the wind.
I agree. Get out of here. And like that's kind of what I was talking about with the lack of like combo ability off of some supers. There just isn't that much for someone to do to follow up on that laser. But you especially couldn't do it if you're just playing solo. You wouldn't be able to get up close enough. That's a fun way to end that. That took a second for me to like process.
Yeah, just grab her and then just drop her.
Get dropped.
We've been consistently getting like A ranks, which is fun to me.
Yeah, I mean we're playing on easy, but
yeah,
also we're just a lot better than we used to be.
That's true. Yeah. When we first played this game, it was C and D territory pretty exclusively.
It was rough. I've gotten a couple of S ranks solo now, which is nice.
I'm gonna continue with Floyd. I keep thinking that I'm gonna pick a different character, and I'm like, Floyd's fun.
He's really fun. He's good.
Yeah.
I'm not great with slow characters in beat 'em ups, unfortunately. So he doesn't work too well for me. But it's cool that he has like such range on his attacks. I love that his character design makes perfect sense for him to have that too.
Yeah, like they found a good way to integrate the character type with the character.
Yeah. Wow,
Oh,
how edgy.
Those dang Y twins.
We'll get them yet.
Here's probably the most
Running their nondescript crime syndicate. This is the first stage in which we have this fun gimmick where we actually start with green health.
Yeah,
Have to get it back.
The first of a couple. Here are the art student fighters.
Yeah, not a big fan of fighting these ones.
Yeah, very cool design. Bad to play against.
There we go.
In general, I think this game just has some really cool character designs. Like the ones that obviously aren't just, Streets of Rage 2 or 3 characters or whatever. The ones that they did extra work on are really cool.
Yeah. This stage has some great music that's very, very Jake Kaufman.
Yes.
This game actually has multiple composers, but there's one composer who did the vast majority of it. Olivier Derivier. I think I just said that right. I really hope I did.
Yeah. I wouldn't be able to tell you one way or the other.
Because I remember, I wish I'd done this again. Like a couple weeks ago in preparation for this LP, I actually looked up to try to find interviews with him so I could find someone pronouncing his name.
Yeah.
I totally forgot it already. Whoops. I'm not the Frenchiest fry, so I try, but I die.
That's, I understand.
But yeah, he did most of the soundtrack, all of the level themes except for the first one, which was done by Yuzo Koshiro, the wonderful, legendary Yuzo Koshiro, composer of Streets of Rage 1, 2, and a little bit of 3.
Yeah.
And ActRaiser and Etrian Odyssey and just all sorts of everything.
Yeah, basically a huge resume that has a lot of it has stood the test of time. Probably one of the most impressive video game composers.
Yeah, chunks of Kid Icarus Uprising.
Put him alongside Yoko Shimomura and Uematsu.
Yeah,
In
agreed.
my opinion.
Big opinion.
Yeah.
I think what I meant to say was big same, but that works too.
It's a big opinion. Very large.
It's a real big opinion. I'm feeling the weight and heft of that opinion. Well, we're beefing it a little bit right now.
Yeah. The art gallery is probably, in my opinion, the toughest stage that isn't the last one.
That's fair to say. I've been feeling that on I've been feeling that on 10, honestly, even though it's not very long. Oh, that's me out.
Come here, Donovan.
So, yeah, multiple composers, most of the level music done by one guy, and I think none of the boss themes, literally none of the boss themes done by Olivier Derivier.
Yeah, I
all
think
done
they're-
by other composers. There's a handful of composers on here who only did one song each. Motohiro Kawashima is not one of them. Motohiro Kawashima did this boss theme, and the boss theme for round 10, and the boss theme for round 5, which I really liked. Get me out of here! I don't like this boss. This boss is a lot, but I'm also not thinking about it right now.
Yeah, this boss kind of goes against my character in terms of just a good counter for Floyd.
Yeah. I just hate that their AoEs get bigger. The halfway mark. It's a lot. Got something for you.
Yeah. Also, if you haven't been able to tell, they're named after Beyonce and Rihanna.
Yep, they sure are. Fun little detail.
Very, very cheeky little detail, yeah.
We're hitting the point where we're not getting the score threshold for lives now.
Yeah.
But then again, this was a little short. That's probably gonna change for this next one. Ooh, an S for us. How nice. Thank you, game.
If there's one thing I have to say about this game's ranking system is that it feels very incongruous to how well you do. Like there is a way to make your score higher. It's just that sometimes you can do terrible and feel like you did terrible, and then you end up getting like a B or an A or an S.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly.
I'm gonna go Axel again.
Axel Stone.
Back in the fight.
Back at the fight.
I like the voice actors for the characters on the character select screen. For some reason, Axel and Blaze have different voice actors in their in-game voices.
Yeah.
Don't know why. It's a something. I don't know.
Yeah, there's probably something to say about like production there, but oh well.
This ought to be fun. Like I said, this is, actually, did I say this or did I say this before recording? I don't remember. Nothing matters. I was, practicing round 10 a bit earlier today and last night before recording this. Or, sorry, round 9, I mean. Round 10's the next one. Hey, there's a Dylan behind this wall. If you don't hit him there, he just pops out. It's fun.
Yeah. It's a little jump scare.
I just didn't even know that you could knock him out from being hidden in that spot. It's a cute detail.
Yeah. I feel like this section is a rare example of slippery physics in a video game being almost more of a benefit than anything.
Right, yeah. It took me a long time to like get used to it, but there is a lot of interesting mobility that having a slippery floor offers you in a beat 'em up that plays like this.
I'm an apologist for ice levels. Like I tend to find ice levels pretty entertaining, even considering the fact that they're almost universally considered like making it more difficult arbitrarily.
Right.
But this is a good example of one that I think anybody can get behind.
Here we go. Here's Judo Guys 2. These ones are the total worst. They do more.
Yeah.
Here we go. See, that's what I like to do is get that grab in, do my bread and butter, and it takes them down really quickly. That's like almost full health bar.
Obliterating me.
Oh, I'm going to help you.
You know what?
Yeah, that's valid. Honestly.
You can get a very short follow-up with Axel and his super, but I wouldn't even call it a combo extension. It reminds me of Chun-Li in Third Strike. Once you do her super, you can cancel it and do like a very small amount of damage afterwards.
Oh yeah, yeah. I see what you mean. The window's really tight just to do anything substantial following a super for any of the characters.
Yeah. You gonna have that pizza?
Yeah, I'll take it. Watch out for gun guys.
Especially if it's silver or any.
I always, like, misjudge how much leeway the guards have with their guns at a distance on, like, the Y-axis. They don't have to be, like, directly behind you, or sorry, they don't have to be, like, perfectly on your axis to shoot you, and it sucks.
Yeah.
Here's where the track for this level really gets me. I love it here. Gets some really good synths going.
So the gimmick of this section is these elevator walls are glass and will eventually break. You would think, or the relationship I've had with these walls is kind of funny because whenever I first played, it was hard because they were there and it was scary. But then I like learned like, oh, I could probably like exploit this a little bit so that I can throw enemies off of it. And now I'm back to where I'm scared of them because these enemies can destroy you.
Yeah, they can just launch you. It's great. It's the best. And when they have super armor when they wake up, you can't grab them for a brief period, which is just the worst.
Right.
Ah, don't drop him right there. Oh, at least you didn't fall off. Congrats.
Yeah. Here.
Cool. Get out of here. It's very fun suplexing enemies off of the elevator.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm trying to link up with anyone, it just wasn't happening. Heck yeah.
Nice. That was
Very
a very
nice.
beautiful transition.
Huh.
Oh, who is this?
This is actually a familiar face if you've played any other games in the franchise. Oh, with red eyes. What could that
Oh.
mean? If you remember, the Y-Twins are using music or sound waves or something to control people. It's awful.
Yeah,
So this is their first evidence of that.
that's fine.
So this is Max Thunder, a wrestler who was actually a playable character in Streets of Rage 2.
Yeah.
Not here though. Right, these guys are gonna drop in multiplayer. When you're playing in solo, single player, no one else shows up. It's just you versus Max.
Yeah, that took me for a surprise just now, honestly.
Yeah, same.
Oh, can we get suplex? Cool.
Really important thing when he's going to grab you. Oh, you can do that? I didn't know that. Like, duh, of course you can. It's what I get for like not playing with supers for so long, going for score. When he does his tell that he's going to come over to you and grab you,
Yeah.
you can just wait for him to come over you and then just neutral jump hit him. And if you're in the air when he comes over to you, he just stands there and doesn't grab you. It's very good. We're good.
His lariat is funny to me.
Yeah. The other thing I figured out is that his lariat goes only vertical and his tackles go only horizontal. So you can get a good idea of how to dodge him just by taking in his tells. Though it helps if you like try.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying just then. More. Not interested in the hired help. Rude.
Yeah.
Alright, I'm not taking this as well as I usually do.
Don't worry, he's close.
Yeah, he's close. Really nice.
Yeah. Fortunately, Max isn't another character that reappears that isn't playable.
Yeah.
But, it's fine.
Hoping he'll be DLC.
Yeah, I have a sneaking suspicion that Shiva and Max are going to be DLC.
Shiva and Max feel like shoo-ins. They already have a
Yeah.
lot of work done on them.
Yeah, that's exactly the reason why. They probably just need to program them to be playable.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to Floyd because I love Floyd.
Yeah, sounds good.
Are you a time traveler? 'Cause I'm slapping you to the middle of next week.
It's really good how that line goes so long that it goes over cutscenes.
Yeah.
I feel like Adam and Floyd is a good combo for getting stuff done.
Yeah, I agree. You got the speed and you got the power.
This cutscene is a little long if I remember correctly. A lot of stuff is culminating at this moment. Dramatic reveal. Wow, that does hurt to listen to. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. One thing that I do wish these graphic comics had was a little bit more, like, Foley work done to them. With sound effects and whatnot. It sometimes feels weird whenever something's happening and it's only the music that's propelling it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But, you know, that's fine.
It's serviceable.
Yeah, the beauty of these is the art, which I love how this game looks, so I'm fine.
Agreed. It's only the second game in the franchise to have proper cutscenes between levels anyway.
Yeah.
It's clearly not the biggest focus. Also, hooray? Question mark. The police are on our side now.
Yeah.
Yay!
I mean, the police were on our side for at least some of the other games because we were the police.
Yeah. Well, we were the police, and then we were kind of vigilante police, and then ex-police, and yeah, it's just a steady walk away from associating with the police.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is where stuff goes. It's just where it goes. We start getting regular enemies that toss their weapons at you instead of using them,
Yeah.
which is fine, I guess. I mean, you can toss your weapons, so why can't they? But it's like, Ah, I don't like it. I don't want you to do this to me. Stop doing it to me.
Ready?
I'm going. Oh, okay, I'm not going. That's fine, I like it up here.
I think another one of the reasons I like Floyd is that he is a very good character against these Muay Thai guys.
Oh, totally.
So now we have Z, who's carrying a hammer.
They
A
should
lot,
have
of, a
named...
lot of new weapons in this level.
Yeah, actually. Got the spiked bat and the hammer. Grenades are not new, though. Get out of here. Should have named him MC instead of Z. I just want you all to know I'm very clever.
Listen, everybody loves hammers,
Most people love hammers, and to be honest, they should.
especially Mick Hammer.
Mick Hammer. MC Donalds.
Good work.
Big man, big man. So this is the third kind of big man. Anri? What a name.
Yeah, this guy makes me very angry.
This guy uses his roll offensively. And it's bad. Stop doing that.
Yeah.
There we go. That went pretty well.
Yeah, if there's
Oh.
any part of 2D brawlers that I feel, I wouldn't even say they've aged poorly. It's just that they're hard to get used to from a more modern game design perspective. Is how like positioning and all that sort of stuff matters, even though you are kind of slow and go at a constant speed rather than having rolls and dodge rolls and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like Anri and the like kicking ladies are good examples of characters that kind of test that for you.
Totally. Any enemy in this game that can like do an attack that moves them on the y-axis, which you cannot do at all,
Yeah,
is kind of a big deal.
yeah, I agree.
Stop throwing your hammers at stuff. It's so rude. They're like useful for things, and yet you choose to discard them. Oh, hi.
Here's another one
Forgot
of these
for a
guys.
moment.
Kubo.
Kubo. No strings here. Ah, jumped too early. I feel like Kubo might be able to like vary up the time that he spends in the air when he jumps, but I don't know that
Yeah.
for a fact.
I do think it is a little bit reactive.
Shred him.
Yeah. The ability to hit enemies after they are completely drained of their health makes for very entertaining last moments of areas,
Yeah.
especially in multiplayer where you can just continually juggle the character in perpetuity.
I shouldn't have hit Keiwashi here like that. Oh well. It's not Keiwashi, it's actually it might be Keiwashi, I'm not sure. It's either that or Kawashi, because this guy's clearly some stand-in for Motohiro Kawashima. Just judging by the name, the fact that Kawashima composed this song, which is also just named DJ Keiwashi. This boss is fun and also not fun.
Yeah, it's a very I don't know, like the whole like things on the ground that you have to kind of dodge. It's very video gamey.
Yeah, that's my least favorite part of it. It's an interesting challenge for this kind of genre. It's just not actually that fun to deal with.
This is I think the boss in the game that most feels like your standard fare sort of like. This boss goes through phases, and then you have to make the phases go faster by punching.
Yeah. It's very...
Nintendo.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. I was gonna say this boss feels like it has the least, like, justification in the story.
Yeah.
Which is, it's not even a big deal. Actually, that's not true now I think about it. I don't know. This stage is probably a better way to put it, has like the least justification in the story. And that's like, that's okay, whatever. It's kind of interesting still.
Yeah.
Because even the bar with all the bikers is just like, that feels like a location you could reasonably end up in and just go to, and people want to pick a fight with you.
Yeah. And the reoccurring, or like the fan favorite boss and being there is also justifiable in some way.
Yeah.
Stage 11. We're approaching the end of the game with this one.
Yeah, actually, we're getting real close. I like the music for the second half of the stage a lot. Actually, it's probably the last 2/3, to be honest. This one isn't necessarily a super long one, but it's probably a little longer than the last one we were just in. There's also another stage that has the risk of falling off that you can use to your advantage against enemies or die to.
Yeah. Except here it's mandatory because it's just the other half of the stage.
It's just open. Come on, stop walking away from me, Brandon. You know who you are, Brandon.
Brandon. But I love Brandon.
No! Super rude. That sort of thing can just happen. It's also why I don't like the art student enemies much, because you hit them, they drop their potion, and if you're grabbing them... Oh my god!
Wow.
Rude. If you're grabbing them, they just drop it.
Elevator.
And if you're grabbing them, there's nowhere for you to go. Because you can't,
Yeah.
there's no way to easy drop grabs in this game. It's unfortunate. Anyway, this is one of my favorite songs in the game.
Go.
Cool. Cool.
Good start.
They don't usually toss them that quickly when I was practicing. Really? Here we go. We're getting into the reallys now. Some enemies you just don't want to have off screen.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I got you with that.
You're fine.
Going for the taser cop.
I'm gonna
Yep,
do this.
cool. Yeah, that's valid. How about you toss that before I do anything to you? Okay, fine. Okay, that still didn't work out in my favor. Ah,
There's
okay.
a pizza with your name written all over it.
Sure is a pizza, definitely. It's another... I'll take the burger and you take the points from the apple.
Okay. This is kind of an interesting segment of the stage.
Yeah.
I like a good beat 'em up stage.
Oh, don't do that!
I like beat 'em up stages that have some sort of like active movement going on.
Yeah, it's interesting. Whoa! I hit a bunch of people with that.
Yeah, this is probably one of my favorite tracks in the game too.
It just has such good energy to it.
I think generally speaking in this game, I feel like there are like two modes that Streets of Rage music operate on, and it's like it's both the kind of style that Yuzo Koshiro was going for when he first started creating these games and realized that what he wanted the music to be. It was the house and techno styles that were going on during the 90s that, he wanted to kind of recreate with the Sega Sound chip.
Yeah. Which it's surprisingly good at doing.
Yes, it's abnormally good at doing. But yeah, weird gimmick also.
Yeah, it doesn't affect any of the gameplay, it just happens and then stops happening. Very weird.
But yeah, like I was saying, this game kind of has both of them, which is like the more housey melodic style, and then like the more intense rhythmic patterns of the techno stuff. And generally speaking, I like the way that they did the techno stuff in this a little bit more, whereas the house stuff hits me a little less hard.
I agree, and that's why like it took a little while for the soundtrack to grow on me, I think, because the house
Yeah.
style is what I really dug of Streets of Rage music to begin with.
Yes, that's that. I think that's like the thing is that, you know, Streets of Rage 3, the soundtrack gets kind of maligned for being very techno, like extremely techno.
You honestly could have stopped that sentence at the word "very," and
Yeah.
you still would have been right.
For being very. In
It's just a
general.
lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's incredibly techno. It's harsh and dark
Yeah.
in its sound, like the whole
Yeah.
way through.
Borderline industrial.
Mr. Y's fun because he has super armor that you can actually power through if you hit enough times.
Yes.
It's also just not that hard to deal with, to be honest. Oh, he's gonna have fun in just a moment.
Yeah. I'm going to.
I don't like it when he has fun. I don't have as
Same
much
here.
fun when he has fun.
Oop.
Hate the bazooka.
That seems like a very bad idea.
Yeah, inside of a
middle
plane cockpit.
Yeah.
Not very safe at all, no. Not very... doesn't show much regard for anyone's health.
Yeah, including his own.
Yeah,
Ugh. This boss is a little harder for old Floyd.
yeah, not being able to get around as much will do you some harm. Don't slap me. Come on. I've got things to be doing. And yet here you are, slapping me. Really inconsiderate. Oh, I was just about to walk up to him in super. Just wait until after I got hit this time.
It's a good thing to end on, though.
Yeah. Wow, that drained a lot of lives from you. That was rough.
Yeah, that was a pretty brutal one. So that's my punishment for not practicing the later stages of this game.
That's okay. We're gonna be fine, no matter what, but like,
Yeah.
that's definitely why I decided I wanted to do at least a full playthrough before we got into this.
Yeah.
But again,
Yeah.
that's why we're playing easy.
Yeah.
This stage has also kind of become one of my favorites. This last one
That's
at
fair.
Y Island. It's a bit of an endurance run.
Yeah, it's even on easy, I would say that this level can be pretty challenging.
Cool, lost all my green health already.
Yeah,
That's okay.
that's how it goes with this one.
Just had too many guys near me.
I lost a lot of mine just now too.
Oh well. Lost all your
of
health
mine
in
just now.
general. We both lost a lot of our health in general. Stop! Ah! It's weird, I yelled stop, but he didn't stop.
I gotta get this Joseph out of here.
Yeah, Joseph's a real jerk with all this health. Takes a while to get rid of.
Luckily, that is the hardest part of this stage, in my opinion.
Mhm.
So we are probably better off now.
We are. The nice thing about these biker lady enemies when they're like flashing red to show that they're gonna run up to you and grab you, you can just hit them with dirt when they're doing that. It's not like a super or anything.
Yeah. Here's another biker lady variant, Candy.
This is very fun. All the ones that are here can all headbutt you at an angle, and it's the worst.
Yeah.
And they have super armor on their headbutts.
Luckily, these enemies types are one of the ones that are very vulnerable to just jumping in neutral,
Yeah, yeah.
which is a surprisingly effective defensive tool in this game.
I need to do it more often.
Yeah, I haven't gotten it integrated into my system other than with Floyd because Floyd has such a good aerial special.
Oh yeah, I don't think I've seen. Is that the stomp?
Yeah.
Or that's so cool. I was wondering what that was. I noticed you were doing it earlier.
Yeah, it's a very useful. It's probably, like, in my opinion, of the ones that I have played with. So like the 3 Axel, Blaze, and Floyd.
Yeah.
Probably the most useful area. Just because it works as a movement tool, but also does a lot of damage and is also just like, if you have the health to spare, you can really use it and abuse it in some fun ways. Oh, you're gone.
I like where the music goes in this part of the stage too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's one of the other big things about this soundtrack that I adore, is that all the music is dynamic.
Yes.
If you pick up the soundtrack, you'll hear, like, the songs is just like one continuous song that kind of grows and changes, but in-game it only moves on to the next section when you hit the next section of the level, which is really cool. It'll have a loop that plays to keep you in one section of the song, like, seamlessly, and then it'll transition. It's so well done. It just, like, it makes it really clear that they put a ton of thought into the music for this game.
Yeah.
Right, you got super armor. I hate you, Z.
Very unnecessary damage dealt there, but
It's
fun
fine.
nonetheless.
We get some combo fun out of it.
Yeah. 3 points.
3 points. Okay, here we go. Riot Ninjas. It's such a weird concept, I love it.
Yeah. It's a very 90s thing too. I feel like
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was something that other games had.
It just reminds me that I'm pretty sure there was some version of Shinobi that just had, like the first Shinobi, that just had like Joe Musashi as just almost looking just kind of like a guy in a bodysuit, no mask or anything.
Oh yeah.
I feel like I remember that.
Clear a little bit of space.
Same. That helped a lot.
Yeah. Getting those hand rays out of the way. Very worth it.
They're, in my opinion, the worst to deal with of these 3. Even if the Gourmand will jump on you sometimes, it's just like, it's not as much to deal with as the rolls that the Enrys do.
Yeah, Anri's in the room with the spike ball was definitely a deliberate choice made by a team of people that wanted the last level to be very hard.
You should take all this and see if it'll bump you enough to get another life before we hop in there.
Actually,
Looks like it might.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Woo.
Also a really good boss theme.
Yes.
I talked over it, but Mr. Y's boss theme is also one of my favorites in this game. The thing that I want to figure out is how much I can do to aid in damage and comboing while you're holding someone. I'm not sure how much there is.
Yeah, it would definitely be an interesting thing to find out.
Cool, they were all just like 0 HP. Come on, do your second one. I know how she works. She's really not that bad. Nice. I forgot, that's another thing that I like about this game is some characters do have options for hitting enemies that are downed.
Yeah.
Floyd has his aerial super, or not super, aerial special. Blaze can do it with her blitz, and Cherry can do it with her offensive special. I don't know if Axel and Adam have any options though.
I don't believe so. No. Oh,
I don't think they do.
Maybe Axel's aerial special, but I don't use it often enough to tell you.
You want to take the burger? I'll take the apple.
Yeah, burger. Sorry.
What is on your end? Is it chicken?
It's chicken.
Chicken. Cool.
Just gonna punch this crate and then walk to the center of the screen.
Sounds good. It's one of my favorite pastimes. Ugh. Yeah, this last boss rules.
This boss theme's really good, yeah. So these last bosses are pretty tricky, regardless of what difficulty you're on.
Yeah, honestly. This boss theme was actually also written by Yuzo Koshiro. Same for Mrs. Wise. This final boss theme was not, though. I can't remember who wrote it. Go check out the soundtrack on Bandcamp and see for yourself who wrote everything.
Yeah.
Educate yourself.
Something we should talk about maybe
In these last minutes.
Yeah, in these last minutes is there is an option in this game to have the retro soundtrack enabled.
Oh yeah.
Which just kind of lets you listen to music from past games, kind of as replacements for this soundtrack. We both agree, I think, it is not as good as we would like it to be.
Yeah, as it turns out, there's like a very specific reason for it, which is that the teams making this game were able to get the rights to the Streets of Rage 2 Genesis soundtrack, but not the Streets of Rage 1 Genesis soundtrack, but they were able to get the rights to the Streets of Rage 1 Game Gear soundtrack, which includes... they were also able to get the rights to the Streets of Rage 2 Game Gear soundtrack, so there's some duplicate Streets of Rage 2 music that sounds worse.
Yeah.
It's a really weird choice. Why are you still alive? Get out of here. Oh, that's a good frame.
Yeah, Floyd has amazing frames. Alright. Yeah, it's generally a pretty big bummer. I hope that there is an effort made sometime in the future by either the company themselves or the fans to just kind of improve upon it, because it is a great idea.
Yeah. It's charming,
Anyway,
but it
now
doesn't
that we're
really get the
now that we're
job
done complaining about a niche option, the game's done.
Game's done. That was pretty quick, actually. That was only like 2 hours or less. It was like less than 2 hours.
Yeah, something like that. So yeah, that was Streets of Rage 4.
It's a good game, and we both love it.
Yep.
And now that you've seen all of it, you should also buy it with money and play it.
Yeah. I do want to say, if you have a Xbox or PC, you can get Xbox Game Pass, where you only have to pay the subscription fee, and it's on there. So you can do that if that's an option. Or you can buy it on Steam, the Switch, PS4, I'm assuming, and Xbox One, where you can just pay full price.
I have a specific feeling with this game that I had with Sonic Mania before, which is if you can afford it, please do buy it, because the more people that buy it, the more likely it is that it'll get supported in the future, either with more sequels or more content. It's worth stating that we know for a fact that DLC is on the way for this game, but they don't have a set plan for it yet.
I just saw the name of an artist that I'm familiar with. That's weird.
Oh really? That's interesting.
I'm curious. Yeah,
you can
Overflow
see...
is done by Groundislava.
Oh yeah. Huh, I didn't know you knew that name.
Yeah.
You can see all of the composer credits here, which is cool.
Yeah. Yogo Shimomura does a thing in this game.
Yeah, Yoko Shimomura does Shiba's boss theme. Harumi Fujita is actually one of the composers on Mega Man 3, among other things, but that's the biggest thing she's known for, I think.
Yeah. A lot of Motohiro Kawashima in this game, though.
Yeah. They got Motohiro Kawashima to do about as much music as Yuzo Koshiro did, which is nice.
Yeah.
The big thing with Kawashima is that he, I believe, did most of the music for Streets of Rage 3.
I like Adam's voice actor's name, Avant Strangle.
Oh, that's a good name. I never
Yeah.
even saw that before. That's strong. Dang, can you just imagine having the last name Strangle?
Yeah.
You could
I
probably
mean, I
just
can,
go wherever
actually.
you want, do anything,
Yeah.
and no one would stop you.
You can do anything ever.
Yeah. That's the kind
a
of
lo-
power having the last name Strangle gives you.
A lot of French names on this game because .emu is a French company.
Right.
I only point that out because .emu also is doing Windjammers 2, and they did the Windjammers 1 thing, the like port. And there is just a weirdly strong Windjammers scene, and has been for years. And I just like pointing out that the French love them some arcade games.
Huh, I never knew that.
Yeah.
Interesting. I guess it's kind of worth noting that the team/community that put Streets of Rage Remake together was primarily Mexican, if I remember correctly.
Oh, really?
It's just interesting. I always think of Mexico in terms of fan bases and in video games as like the place that huddles around King of Fighters and obscure fighting games in general.
Yeah. Brazil loves King of Fighters as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like this ending art quite a bit.
Same. Get some fun establishing shots of Dr. Zan, the person who gave Floyd his cyborganic arms.
Yeah.
Doing some handiwork on him.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned earlier, Zan was one of the playable characters in Streets of Rage 3.
Hmm.
Real weird one. Highly recommend checking out Bare Knuckle 3 just to see what the heck's up with Dr. Zan.
Yeah.
That's a game where, like, because everyone can run, and because there's no Floyd or Max, there isn't, like, archetypes kind of die. That's kind of where archetypes go to die.
Yeah. It's a bizarre game, but enjoyable in its own right.
Oh, I never even mentioned that Adam is Cherry's dad.
Oh yeah, we just said that he's a good dad and then never connected him to a character.
Yeah, he is canonically Cherry's dad.
Yeah. Okay. We
Cool,
sure did.
good rank to end on.
Alright.
That was Streets of Rage 4. Thanks for watching.
Bye!
Bye!